and you're traveling through time, your next stop will be the future.
Live from the 60s.
Ray Magliozzi here for eBay Motors. Okay, easy now. You're teaching your kid how to parallel park. Ouch! Turns out he likes to do it by feel. Don't worry, eBay Motors has bumpers, taillights, trunk lids, license plate holders, 122 million parts. Pull up just a little bit. And headlights. They've got lots of headlights. Get the right parts at the right prices. eBay Motors. Let's ride.
Hi, I'm Capri, and the little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is the chicken. They actually put it on the grill, cooked it in the sauce. It's definitely a good grilled spicy sandwich.
Hey, I'm Michelle, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe is it's spicy and it's full of flavor. When you pair that with the Kale Crunch Salad, it's just good.
Order a grilled spicy deluxe sandwich on the Chick-fil-A app today. Available for a limited time. Real guests paid for the testimonials.
Hey, it's Dana Cortez, and I'm married to DJ Automatic. When it comes to big life decisions, having options is something I value for our family, especially when it comes to saving money. That's why I love State Farm.
State Farm knows everyone has a budget, and they've got options like insuring your car and your home, getting you great rates on both, or they can help personalize your policy with options so that you can get a surprisingly great rate.
I love that option. Saving money, that's what it's all about, so we bundle our home and our car. So for surprisingly great rates, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
If it's just another day, that doesn't mean you deserve just another shower. Nebbia by Moen Quattro creates 4 unique shower experiences: relieve, soothe, clarify, and cleanse, to give you all the escape while using 50% less water than standard showers, making your everyday routine an experience. Water designs our life. Who designs for water?
Charlie did not die from an overdose. Charlie was poisoned.
Websites and social media selling fake medicines may look legitimate, but they're not.
He died in less than 15 minutes after taking the pill.
Any medication not purchased from a licensed pharmacy could be deadly.
No other family should go through this. It's just horrific.
Go to safe.pharmacy. Learn about fake medicine on social media and if an online pharmacy is safe.
The weather is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. For low prices on snacks, soft drinks, and quality Marathon gasoline, visit the Clark's Pump and Shop nearest you. Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Return, refresh, refuel.
Cool Hits weather.
Look for cloudy skies early today with partial sunshine a little later on this afternoon. A stray shower and a thunderstorm is possible, high of 77. Partly cloudy this evening, giving way to cloudy skies overnight. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible, low of 62. On Sunday, we'll see cloudy skies early with partial sunshine expected late in the day. Stray shower or thunderstorm is possible, high of 78.
Cool Hits 105.7.
Well, it's time for me to fade back into history.
Live from the 60s.
I'm the real Don Steele, and remember, the love you take is equal to the love you make. I'll be back next week, same time, same station, and most of all, same decade.
Live from the 60s.
This program was created and produced by M.G. Kelly. Executive producer, Sean Steele. Associate producer, Michael Schoenfeld. Co-producer, Krista Anderson. Live from the 60s with the real Don Steele is an M.G. Kelly production. All rights reserved.
The Cool Hits 105.7 studios are sponsored by Southern Ohio Medical Center. Cancer can be very scary, and cancer care can be complicated, but the SOMC Cancer Center takes you from what appears to be a maze to amazing care. SOMC, very good things are happening here.
Cool Hits 105.7 WLGC FM. Rena, Ashland.
Portions of this program may have been pre-recorded.
Cool Hits 105.7 and the Cool Hits Sports Network now presents Let's Talk Sports. Get ready as we talk with players and coaches, take a look at the top stories in sports, and take a look at all the scores from the night before. It's Let's Talk Sports, brought to you by Kentucky Farmers Bank, Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State, Stoltz Pharmacy, River Cities Builders, and Wagner Rental and Supply. Now, let's talk sports with your host, James Collier. And welcome into Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network. James Carter, happy to have you along with us here this morning. As across the bottom of your screen on Cool TV, you'll see all the scores from around high school football last night. We'll talk about one of those in just a little bit. A big win for the Rams last night down in Lloyd as they spoil the Musketeers' homecoming with a 48-28 win in the 2022 Iron Bowl. 12th consecutive time the Rams have won in that series, 16 out of the last 18. And head coach Mike Sammons runs his record against Greenup to 9-0. We'll have Coach Sammons and Isaac Browning in studio in just a little bit. Browning named the most valuable player for the Rams last night with a 3-touchdown effort. We begin this morning talking college football. We'll have Bill Bender from the Sporting News. He's their national writer for college football. We'll break down, is it Georgia and the field? Is there a couple other teams in there? And just how heavy is the SEC this year? Bill's always got some great stuff. We'll see if we get Angry Bill, though. We've got Angry Bender, and then we've just got regular Bill Bender. But we'll talk about that. We'll look at some of the games across top 25 today. Major League Baseball playoff push in the last couple of weeks of the regular season. A milestone going down last night in the Cardinals realm of things as Albert Pujols, career home run number 700. And the question is he actually going to retire, or is he going to come back and maybe try to make a push for the all-time home run record? We will certainly see on that. And, of course, at the end of the Show Us the Border Sportigas Rant of the Week. I'm pretty fired up this week. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we've got Bill Bender from the Sporting News. We'll talk some college football. That's as we continue here on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hit Sports Network.
In addition to the Greenup location, Stultz Pharmacy's newest location is at 437 James Hanna Drive in South Shore, but has retained the name you know and love, McDonald Pharmacy, with the same great service you'll find in the Greenup location, with free delivery service and their convenient drive-thru. Get your vaccinations and allergy shots, and of course, great prescription service at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup and McDonald Pharmacy, James Hanna Drive, South Shore.
Does your gas station or convenience store need a facelift? If so, call River City Builders at 473-4112 for your remedy. Big or small projects, River City's Builders is a company for all your needs. We have extensive experience in the petroleum industry, from routine gas dispenser and canopy maintenance to above-ground, underground tank and piping work to full-blown remodels and new builds. Call River City Builders at 473-4112 for all your petroleum needs. We'll cover your back and keep your customers pumping gas.
Now's the perfect time to reseed your lawn before Old Man Winter arrives, and Wagner Rental is the place to go. If you need to overseed, aerate, or power plug your lawn, Wagner Rental has the tools and equipment for jobs of all sizes. Wagner Rental and Supply also carries Echo Power equipment such as blowers and chainsaws. For landscaping tools and equipment, see the guys that care. Wagner Rental and Supply.
Your tri-state rental supermarket, Wagner Rental and Supply.
New Boston, Jackson, Chillicothe, and Ashland. Online, WagnerRental.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Bowling, Senior Vice President of Kentucky Farmers Bank. When you do business with Kentucky Farmers Bank, you're making an investment in your community. Your money stays local, we never sell your loan, and in turn, we invest in local families, churches, schools, and charities. We believe in our community, and that's why we are the better bank for loans.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for loans since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Clark's Pump and Shop now has Arco, a new brand of gasoline. Look for Arco gasoline and our brand new state-of-the-art pumps at several of our tri-state locations. Clark's Pump and Shop still offers the same clean stores and the same fast, friendly service you've always received. You may have noticed a new facelift at some of Clark's Pump and Shop locations, and we invite you to stop in and see for yourself. To learn more, visit us online at myclarkspns.com. Clark's Pump and Shop, where you can return, refresh, and refuel.
Cool hits, the greatest songs of all time. 105.7.
Back on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hit Sports Network. James Carey, happy to have you along with us here this morning on a cloudy Saturday morning here in downtown Ashland, Kentucky. Let's go to the phone lines. Joining us now from the Sporting News, Bill Bender's in. Bill, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Hey, doing well. I feel like I need to get you some kind of a theme music or something. So I've at least got you some video graphics on the video side of things. We got to get you some kind of theme music for the show.
Hey, that'd be great. I'm an 80s guy, so anything like 80s hair band, my buddies still make fun of me about it, but I'm into like Def Leppard, Rat, that old school type stuff. So I bet you didn't know that.
Well, now we know some more stuff about Bill Bender, so next time Bill Bender arrives on the show, he will have an interest theme. I'll hook you up. It'll be like WWE.
Nice. How are you?
Hey, doing well, man. It's been a crazy first 6 weeks of high school football, and on the backside of things, college football in full swing as well. But we've seen some really good football games. We've seen some uncharacteristic starts for some teams. But the biggest question right now is it Georgia and the field, or are there other teams that are going to give the Bulldogs a run for their money?
I mean, it's Georgia looks like the best team in the country right now. There's no question. They haven't missed a beat, which is crazy to me when you can lose 15 guys to the NFL and still have a defense playing that well at that high level. But there are teams that can run with them. Alabama can run with them. They've got to clean up the penalties. Ohio State can run with them. Ohio State's got the best offense in the country. And then after that, there's probably a little bit of gap. But, I mean, I've been nothing but impressed with Michigan, USC, and Oklahoma. And we'll find out more about Clemson today. Those are kind of the 7 games that I think those are the 7. You'll probably find the playoff out of those 7.
When you look at Georgia and the play that you get from Bennett at quarterback, it just seems like nothing phases this guy, and he's just going through the motions, much like what it was last year. But he looks the part, and is he the elite quarterback in college football this year? And if not, is he at least top 3?
Yeah, he's playing like a Heisman candidate. I know that might be a controversial take on some level, but I mean, he's gone from, I think part of it, I talked to Tim Tebow, I had him on this week, and he said there is something to like not having to look over your shoulder. You know what I mean? Like for him, he's got a national title now. He's always going to be the toast of his hometown in Georgia, and he's just going out there and playing well and making the read, getting the ball to Brock Bowers. I mean, Brock Bowers, wow. I don't know if there's a better tight end in the country right now, or in some ways a better player. So I think as long as Stetson Bennett continues to be accurate and make plays, he's not just a game manager, he's making plays for the Bulldogs.
Well, you bring up the tight end there of Bowers, and you talk about being the top tight end in the nation. Compare him with Michael Mayer from Notre Dame. Put those guys 1 and 2. Obviously, they're going to play football on Sunday, but what do you see with the comparison between those two?
I mean, they're really good, both of them. I think Bowers might be a little bit better at getting down the field, whereas Meyer is automatic in the intermediate game. Great hands, makes plays. Has to be even more valuable now with Notre Dame dealing with some quarterback problems with the injury to Buchner. And then, like I said, Bowers last week just showed the full bag, so to speak. Had the reverse. He had the nice red zone touchdown where he just he jumped right over a guy and then, or mossed him, as my kid would say. And then, the play where he just gets down the seam, and then I think it was a 72-yard or 82-yard touchdown. I mean, just incredible athleticism out of him. I do think Brock Bowers is on that short list of best players in the country. He won't win the Heisman, but you know what I mean? Like, that's the guy right there.
When you look at the way Georgia started the season, a 49-3 blitzing of Oregon, was this the shockwave that they sent across college football that said, we're back and we're ready to take some names?
I mean, it looks even better now after you watch beat up on BYU last week, and that's a pretty good BYU team. So, yeah, I mean, that was kind of the first, we're dealing with that this year. Good luck. Very good team, very good on both sides of the ball. I mean, the defense is fast. I think I'm gonna be.
Oh, and we have,
because
there we go.
It's an SEC team with a 5-star quarterback in there, familiarity within the conference, and they just went into Columbia and pounded them on the road. It's just amazing what they've been able to do so far.
When you look at the way that the SEC shakes out this year, you do not have Georgia having to play any of those teams that's probably going to make a run. Of course, it's Alabama from the West. Arkansas is playing very well this year, but not having those two teams having to play each other in the regular season is key. How much does that play into a fact when we see these teams run into each other in the SEC championship, and how's that going to shake out with what we see once we get into the national playoffs?
I mean, we'll find out. I think I think right now Georgia's a better bet to finish the regular season undefeated than Alabama for some of those reasons you just mentioned, and that Alabama has a tough road schedule. I mean, they have to go to Arkansas, Tennessee, Ole Miss, and that's 3 top 20 teams. And I believe they get a Mississippi State as well. So there's not a lot of easy ones on Alabama's schedule, and that's going to be interesting to see. If they both get to the SEC championship game with 12-0 record, there's a good bet they'll both go to the playoff. And I would say same deal, Ohio State and Michigan. If they can both get through their schedule with identical 11-0 records, and they go to the play in the game, and then the winner wins, and the other one wins the Big Ten championship, they could both go to the playoff too.
When you look at Alabama, how devastating, again, they win at Texas, but again, how devastating was that performance to them, to what they want to be able to do as they go down the stretch? Or is it one of those, it happened at the best part of the season, at the beginning of the season, so when those college football playoff rankings roll out in a couple of weeks, nobody's going to remember that game because it's all about what have you done for me lately?
Alabama won the game, right? I mean, it was sloppy, and I'm sure they weren't thrilled with it, but I mean, the fact, to me, it goes down as win. And, I tell people all the time, we talk about non-conference wins and non-conference schedules. The name of the game is don't lose twice. As long as you win the game, that it'll still go down as a win. Now, there are such things as a good loss and an ugly win and those kind of things in the playoff nomenclature or whatever, but to me, it's if you're in a Power 5 conference and you don't lose twice, especially in the SEC, if you're 12-1 at the end of the tunnel, you'll probably be in the playoff anyway. But they do have some things to clean up. I mean, if Alabama doesn't clean up the penalties and get more in sync on offense, especially with those receivers, they will lose a road game. There's no doubt in my mind.
Number 3, Ohio State welcomes in Wisconsin today in a Big Ten matchup, their first Big Ten contest of the season. Ohio State, as you said, one of the most explosive offenses in the nation. But when you get into Big Ten play, do we see anybody in the Big Ten that can slow down Ohio State, or is it Ohio State's completely to lose?
I mean, they're really good. We'll find out tonight what the run defense is all about. I'll be there for Sporting News. That Jim Knowles defense, we'll see how good they really are against the run because they're playing against the most traditional run team possible. Wisconsin, that's what they do. It's what they've done for a quarter of a century, and they're not going to stray from that too far. Offense is amazing, though. I mean, Ohio State's got 13 guys with at least 130 yards of total offense so far. That's 2 strings. So I don't know how you slow them down. We'll see if Wisconsin can keep it in front a little bit, and it won't be easy against a very talented Buckeyes team.
Up at the Big House this afternoon at noon, Maryland and number 4 Michigan. Is this an upset special? Do we see the second coming of another Tagovailoa, or is Michigan the real deal this year?
Oh, I don't think it'll be an upset. I think Maryland might push them a little bit, this first real team. People are getting on Michigan's non-conference schedule. I've been telling them, not their fault UCLA canceled. I mean, what are you going to do? You can't. Yeah, I think people like finding things to blame Jim Harbaugh for, and you're running out of things to blame him for because he handled the quarterback situation perfectly. They've just blown through 3 weak opponents. So if Michigan wins this week, we're going to move the goalpost again and say, well, how are they going to play at Iowa? Iowa will be a bigger test for Michigan than Maryland today.
A couple of games along the way, along top 25 opponents. The first one you mentioned earlier, number 5 Clemson, a road test at number 21 Wake Forest. This is an ACC matchup. This one should be a good one, and it's really going to tell us a lot about Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson, a lot of people getting on DJ Uiagalelei, wanting to see Cade Klubnik. I don't think we're going to see Cade Klubnik today. I just think we're going to see DJU. That's who they're rolling with. Tough game on the road, and it's going to be very interesting to see how that goes. I think Clemson's got a chance to break through here the next 2 weeks and really show people what they're all about. I still like them in this game. They've won 13 in a row in those series, and they haven't been particularly close. So to me, it's more on Wake. All right, Wake, this is your moment. Make it a close game. See if you can go beat Clemson. If they can't, it'll just be Clemson and North Carolina State next week in a huge game.
Number 20, Florida heads to Knoxville, and number 11, Tennessee. And depending on who you talk to in this game, it's almost the people I've talked to this week, it's kind of been a 50-50 split. Some people are expecting Florida to get rolled. Others are expecting Florida to roll into Knoxville and get the upset. It's hard to go against the Volunteers at home.
Yeah, it is, but I'm with these people. I don't know what to do. This was, of all the games I've picked this week, the hardest one because on paper, Tennessee should just destroy them. I mean, they've got the better team. They've got the better passing attack. Got the better quarterback. They got the better run defense. But, Florida's won 16-17 in this series. They do have a mystery quarterback. If Anthony Richardson plays like he did in week 1, Florida can win the game. If Florida runs the ball like they did last year, 283 rushing yards in the game, they can win the game. And if the weirdness of this rivalry kicks in, which it has, win the game. So I like Tennessee to win, but I think Florida will cover the 10.5 and should be a fun game in Knoxville.
I think a really good game tonight, and this one's and the late hour, 7 p.m. down in Jerry World in a neutral site. Number 10 Arkansas, number 23 Texas A&M. This is a nice showcase for the SEC in primetime and a real good opportunity for Arkansas to prove its worth at the 3-0 record that they've rolled off this season so far.
Yeah, it ought to be fun. Arkansas, obviously a high-octane offense, 500 yards a game. Bad pass defense, though, which opens the door for Texas A&M a little bit. Max Johnson looked comfortable in there last week against Miami. He may not be fancy, but he gets the job done. And I think it'll be a fun game. I like the Hogs in this one. And that'll set up, like I was talking about earlier, one of those fun road games not fun road game for Alabama, but a tough road game for Alabama when they go down to Fayetteville next week. So there's a good chance we could get that one.
Well, we've talked so much about the Power Five. We've got to talk at least a little bit of Group of Five. And, of course, the Fun Belt this year, as it's been tabulated. But the Sun Belt Conference this year, with the additions of the teams that they brought in, have proven their worth and really have shown off that they can be a superior Group of Five conference. But an ugly loss last week by Marshall up at Bowling Green certainly didn't help that cause.
I caught a pretty hot Bowling Green quarterback, but, it doesn't mean Marshall isn't deserving of the praise that they got. I mean, that was a really big win against Notre Dame. Just a reminder that it has to happen every week in this conference. So, yeah, the Sun Belt, I actually think, call me crazy, but I think the Sun Belt has a very good chance of having the team make the New Year's Day 6. Undefeated. App State has the one loss, but they definitely have been in the national consciousness. Marshall got a big win. The Sun Belt race is going to be a lot of fun because if you look at those other conferences, right now, Coastal is one of just 3 D5 teams, and the other 2 being James Madison and I believe it's Tulane. Tulane is still undefeated. So that's wild that we've gotten this point in the season, and there's that few Group of 5 teams with an unbeaten record.
Coastal Carolina, I think they are the head of the class there in the Sun Belt, and Grayson McCall, what he does from the quarterback position. But Jamie Chadwell, he has really seized the opportunity for what the Chants can do, and they are kind of making their name known of the Sun Belt goes through Coastal, but there's certainly the other teams around there, being App State, Marshall, and a couple of other teams that's going to make this a fun ride all the way through the season.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It ought to be a fun ride. I still think Coastal, to me, is kind of the team to beat. App is going to have something to say about it. Even down to South Alabama, they were really close to beating UCLA. So it's going to knowing that we're headed towards playoff expansion. So the Sun Belt wants to continue to increase its profile. I think App State's the best. And Marshall, too. So, I was telling people that weekend that they won, Marshall and App State, and you know this, but, just bears repeating from a national stage, is there was a time when Marshall and App, they Division I AA, FCS, that was where they grew. And they've taken the success that they've done at that level. I watched Marshall dominate the MAC when I was in college, unfortunately, being an OU grad. But they've made that rise up, and they've done it the right way as programs, and it's a long climb. but it's really cool when you see programs like Marshall and App State do it. Yeah, you know what I mean? So I'm just glad they're out of the MAC. They wore us out too many years.
And how awesome for Thundering Herd fans is it the fact that the three biggest home games in Sunbelt Conference play, the Raging Cajuns of Louisiana, Coastal, and App State all play at Joan C. Edwards.
Oh, it'd be great. And those would be great moments, and they'll create new great rivalries. I mean, like I said, when Marshall was in the MAC, I mean, you could probably speak to this better than me, but I mean, Ohio was always a fun game. Miami was a good rivalry. And then they bump up a level and get new rivalries there. And now that they're in the Sun Belt, these rivalries with, I think the Marshall-App rivalry in particular has a chance to get really big because of the following both of those schools have. The relative, I mean, I know they're not super close, but the relative proximity, the fan bases, and the success. I mean, that's what it comes down to. So I think that could emerge as a really fun rivalry. And if Jamie Chadwell hangs around at Coastal, which he might not because he's going to start getting some attention from Power 5 schools, that could be fun as well.
Could we see Jamie Chadwell land in red and white and in a Big Ten conference of Nebraska?
Well, I mean, that's one possible landing spot. I mean, Nebraska, he's one that would make sense there. Lance Leopold would make sense there. I still think Matt Campbell makes the most sense there. But, I mean, you'd have to pull him out of Iowa State, which is just wild to say that a coach has to want to leave Ames to go to Lincoln. I mean, I would never thought I would have said that when I was a kid. But, you know, those are a couple possibilities. Jamie Chadwell's offense is very creative. He does a good job. And, I mean, they've produced some NFL players. And that's things that Nebraska hasn't done. They haven't had a creative offense that scores a lot of points. They haven't produced a lot of NFL players, and they haven't recruited to the level they need to win in the Big Ten.
From the Sporting News, Bill Bender joining us here this morning. Bill, next time, entrance music. Def Leppard and Rat, I believe, was the two that I heard. So we'll see what we can work up. But, my friend, always a pleasure. Great stuff as always.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
All right, let's take a break. When we return, we've got Mike Sammons and Isaac Browning in studio from Raceland Football. Big win for the Rams last night down in Lloyd in the 2022 Iron Bowl. We talk about it when we return after this on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hit Sports Network.
In addition to the Greenup location, Stultz Pharmacy's newest location is at 437 James Hanna Drive in South Shore, but has retained the name you know and love, McDonald Pharmacy, with the same great service you'll find in the Greenup location, with free delivery service and their convenient drive-thru. Get your vaccinations and allergy shots, and of course, great prescription service at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup and McDonald Pharmacy, James Hanna Drive, South Shore.
Stultz Pharmacy.
Does your gas station or convenience store need a facelift? If so, call River City Builders at 473-4112 for your remedy. Big or small projects, River City's Builders is a company for all your needs. We have extensive experience in the petroleum industry, from routine gas dispenser and canopy maintenance to above-ground, underground tank and piping work to full-blown remodels and new builds. Call River City Builders at 473-4112 for all your petroleum needs. We'll cover your back and keep your customers pumping gas.
I'm April Perry, the CEO of Kentucky Farmers Bank. On average, our employees have been with Kentucky Farmers Bank for over 10 years, and that is important to you and us. We want you to know who you are dealing with. Whether you are financing a new home, buying a car, or remodeling your kitchen, Kentucky Farmers Bank is the better bank for all your needs.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for all your financial needs since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. Now's the perfect time to reseed your lawn before Old Man Winter arrives. And Wagner Rental is the place to go. If you need to overseed, aerate, or power plug your lawn, Wagner Rental has the tools and equipment for jobs of all sizes. Wagner Rental and Supply also carries Echo Power equipment such as blowers and chainsaws. For landscaping tools and equipment, see the guys that care. Wagner Rental and Supply.
Your tri-state rental supermarket, Wagner Rental and Supply.
New Boston, Jackson, Chillicothe, and Ashland. Online, WagnerRental.com.
The weather is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. For low prices on snacks, soft drinks, and quality Marathon gasoline, visit the Clark's Pump and Shop nearest you. Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Return, refresh, refuel.
Cool Hits weather.
Look for cloudy skies early today with partial sunshine. A little later on this afternoon, a stray shower and a thunderstorm is possible, high of 77. Partly cloudy this evening, giving way to cloudy skies overnight. A stray shower and thunderstorm is possible, low of 62. On Sunday, we'll see cloudy skies early with partial sunshine expected late in the day. Stray shower or thunderstorm is possible, high of 78.
Cool Hits 105.7.
Back on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network. James Carr, happy to have you along with us this morning. Big thanks to Bill Bender on the other side. Bill is a great friend. He and I, we made a connection back when I was covering Marshall, when Marshall made the run there, when the first playoff rankings came out and played themselves into the top 25, and then, of course, the Western Kentucky debacle there in the last game of the regular season. But Bill, a superior guy for college football stuff. You can get him at BillBender92. On Twitter. He's got the goods. Anytime you're looking for something for college football, Bill's your guy. All right, let's talk some high school football. Joining me now in studio from Raceland, we've got Mike Sammons and Isaac Browning in. Gentlemen, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, James.
Coach, a big win last night for your team. And, again, we talked about it in the beginning of the game. It wasn't your prototypical start. Second play of the game, you're behind the ball 6 because of a pick 6. But 48 minutes really proved the attrition of what that game was. It was a battle between the trenches and a war that you guys came in on top.
Yeah, obviously not the ideal start that any of us would have wanted, but at the same time, sometimes you're dealt that way. And so we'd kind of been flying on the front side of the radar for the first, 5 weeks of the season. So it was good to put our team in that position and see how we would respond. And it did take 48 minutes from our guys to really get in there and get a little grit and button up that chin strap a little bit tighter. And credit to our guys. They barreled up there and really competed hard. And when we faced some adversity, we were able to overcome it. And so that's good. That's what you expect when you have a veteran team. And to credit to our guys last night for doing that on the road and in a hostile environment, against a team that had a lot of success early on in the season. So last night was a growth for us in many ways.
You're leading 21-12. Greenup gets the football back. Almost 6 minutes off the clock going into the locker room. They make it 21-20, down by 1. Momentum goes to the locker room with them. You guys seize that coming out.
Yeah, no doubt. There's they always talk about basketball being a game of runs, but football is a momentum game too. It's just a little bit longer, but again, it's a game of momentum. And they had that long sustained drive, and we had talked in pregame about the best defense would be a sustaining offense on the game like last night, and they were able to get one of those drives going. I don't know how many plays it was. I know it was
11 plays.
Over 60 yards, I do believe. I think I saw in your stats they ended up with somewhere 260 give or take yards, and 60 of them was on that drive where they kind of controlled the line of scrimmage. Had them a couple of times behind the stakes. Couldn't convert, couldn't make a play, couldn't get off the field on third down. Then I think even converted a fourth. No, we stopped them on fourth down, I believe, but they converted a couple third downs on that drive, and so they went in the locker room with all the momentum. But our guys had a long halftime last night, which is kind of our advantage. We just got our feet underneath us and knew we had to get a stop to kind of set the tone for the second half. Come out and got a big stop, and went right down the field and scored. I think from then our guys, you could just kind of see their confidence rise.
Yeah, that was the big thing is you came out, you grabbed the lead. It was back to 28-20. They answer with a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. We're tied at 28. But then from that point, it was turnover on downs, a couple of punts, and the end of the football game. That was their last 4 drives that they had, and it was you could really see the defense starting to oppose its will there at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I think so. I talk about body blows after the game. We really talk about that in our program and who we are and how we prepare and how we try to play the game. And just over time, those 48 minutes, man, it gets hard to stay in the fight, particularly when guys are playing both ways and particularly when somebody's getting on you and laying on you every single snap, time after time, snap to whistle. And I think that's what you saw late in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter, we were able to get some stops. And then at that point, we were playing with such confidence on offense outside of the 1 second-half turnover there midway through the fourth quarter. Our guys expected to score the ball. And so that's what you hope to see, as you grow throughout the season. This was our 6th week before we go into to district play. And so it was good to be tested last night and see some of those areas of our football team that we may not have been able to see through the first month.
There were times last night, especially there in the second half, you were sending 8 guys in a blitz, and you got a lot of confidence on those guys on the back end. And a couple times they beat the blitz. They got free, but you had good speed on the back end that could at least get to Henderson and Sammons and bring them down until somebody else got there to help.
Yeah, we were super aggressive against the run. We want to stop the run, and I think they ran for 200, give or take, last night. I don't know the exact number, but a little uncharacteristic of us. We did give up a couple explosives, which obviously is something we got to work at and get better at. But yeah, I mean, they have a good scheme. Number one. Number two, they got a couple guys that are dynamic ball carriers. It's one thing to get to them. Another thing, you got to tackle them. Salmon's kid is a good, strong high school football player. Number 9 ran well last night as well. So those guys presented us challenges that will help us, benefit us down the road. We were super aggressive in the box. And, again, we were able in the second half, late in the third quarter, into the fourth quarter, really get stops, I think, just where we were so much fresher.
One of the big explosives came in the passing game there in the first quarter. They hit a big home run ball that just a kid going on a streak route and ran right past the coverage. But after that, they got some passes completed. Salmons was 6 of 8 last night, but everything was underneath. You didn't allow that pass to get over top.
No, I think I've seen in your stats there 6 of 8 for 70, give or take yards. I don't know what the first play of the game was, but had to be 40 or 50 at that. And yeah, I mean, we were going to let them throw it underneath us, try to run up and really hit them, really tackle in space, tackle well in space, keep everybody in front of us. First play of the game there, we just got a little amped up. And, again, credit to those guys. They was prepared. They had a good game plan, and they probably knew we'd be aggressive, and so they had a way to combat that. And so I think, again, our guys just kept playing throughout the contest. Playing a lot of guys, I think, last night was evident, particularly on the line of scrimmage. We didn't have anybody on the line of scrimmage playing on both sides. So when offensive line comes out and defensive line goes in, those guys are fresh. And those are the guys that are really in the fight every down. And I think over time, if you can get your guys to buy into it, it's an advantage, and last night it was for us.
One of the biggest plays in the football game, they elected to go for it on 4th and 3, and you guys get a quarterback sack. I think it was Christian Wall was one of the first guys there, but it was a wall of white jerseys a lot of times when you got to him. I believe I had you guys last night with 4 sacks, and it's something that you guys have been doing a really good job of getting that front line to the football, but more importantly, those linebackers have been coming free.
Yeah, just trying to get negative plays. I know we had a sack or two. We also had some tackle for losses. So there's so many design runs for Tyson. Again, such a dynamic player. But we were able to get some penetration on that respective play, and I felt like that was a big momentum change. They were backed up in their own territory. It was a sudden change opportunity for us once we got to stop, and we went right ahead and converted, put the ball in the end zone 3 or 4 plays later. Just a huge momentum change, and it kind of got that separation from 1 score out to 2 scores. And then from there, I think, our guys can kind of breathe a little bit better. But, they do this little heavy set they do where they bring a lineman in, 3 running backs over there, and Tyson just kind of, bangs it up in there runs up in there. And actually that's how they scored and got the 2-point conversion and tied up at 28. And our defensive coaches made a little adjustment there. We tried to do some substitution and try to get some bigger bodies in the line of scrimmage, and we were able to try to get a stalemate. And guy came through, made a big hit. And so our guys just hung in the fight. And at the end, they made some plays.
We talked before the game of wondering which one you were going to be given, the air raid attack, which you guys have had a lot this season, or were you going to have to demonstrate the ability to run the football? Greenup elected to make you try to run the football, and you guys turn out your highest rushing output of the season, 268 yards. Noah Wallace goes over for 100 yards. First time this season you've had a running back over 100 yards. And then this guy over here to your right, 3 touchdowns last night. And they were a really good combo there in the second half.
Yeah, again, we feel like we got 4 starting running backs. I've talked about that. We hang our hat on running the football. We haven't been in a situation the first 5 weeks where we got to really get in there and hand it off. I don't know how many times we handed it off last night. I was supposed
36.
40 times I was going to guess that we've had to do that. But last night, late in the first half, particularly the second half, we felt like we needed to go to that. And credit to these guys, they work every day. I'm really proud of the growth of our offensive line. We've just kind of been making moves there and trying to get it just right. I don't know if it's just right yet, but I think last night was a step in the right direction, trying to get the right guys in there and the right rotations and the right mixes at the right time, and trying to keep guys fresh. And so I was really proud of those guys for moving forward last night. They have a lot of pride in what they're trying to do. And then our running backs ran really hard. They ran behind their pads. Obviously, everybody talks about Noah and the year he had a year ago and what a phenomenal defensive player he is for us. But we just share the wealth. We call plays. The next man up carries the ball or catches the ball or throws the ball. And, last night Isaac had the hot hand, and credit to him. He'll be the first to tell you it's a team-first approach. Whoever gets the ball, they'll go make plays. That's just how we approach it. And we're lucky to have the depth. We feel fortunate to develop the depth we've got, and that's how we approach every game.
Isaac, for you this season, having that depth at the running back position, how much has that allowed you to, again, every time you touch the football, you know you can go 100% because if you need to come off for a quick blow, you've got 3 guys standing behind you that can jump right in there and pick up the ball.
It feels good because
slide that over for him.
If I can't go 100%, then I have a guy that can go 100% for me, and then when he can't go, I can go back in.
Last night, you and Noah really kind of seemed like you had a 1-2 combination going on there in the second half. When did you start to feel the game where it kind of felt like you guys were really kind of imposing your will there at the line of scrimmage?
Yeah. After halftime, I felt like that's when we knew we had to just go in there and take over and be dominant.
There were several times that you could see you would go to the line of scrimmage, and it was almost like you'd see a cartoon where you've got the melee and the dust piles coming out, and somehow you slip out the other side. What has it been, the change for you this year? It seems like you've really gotten lower, got behind your pads, and really find the way to find those smallest creases to get through.
Yeah. I went in the weight room, just learned how to shift more, find the hole better, and just run faster and harder.
MVP honors for you last night in, again, a rivalry game. How big is that for you personally on that level?
It feels good just to see how far I've come and how much farther I can come.
You know, you started off the season, you lead the Rams with the running attack against Ashland. And then Coach and we talked. He said after the Russell game, didn't even realize that you hadn't touched the football in that next game. But you bounced back, and here you are again, MVP last night.
Yeah.
What does that say about the makeup of the way this team operates? With that, as Coach says, that team-first mentality.
Yeah, it's just whoever's getting it done can get it done, and we have trust in every single player on the field that they can get it done.
What is it in that running back room that each one of you seem to have your own little niche between you, Jules, Noah, and Jackson? What is it that each one of you bring to the table that maybe the other one doesn't have?
Some of us can shift better, run harder, catch better, but we get in there and we get the job done.
Your offensive line up front, how much does that make your job easier?
A lot easier. I give all the credit to them.
What have you noticed, again, running behind those guys this year as compared to last year? What's been different?
I can tell we're getting a better push on the front, and then we're opening more holes.
Those holes for you, are they gaping holes this year, and like maybe in the past where you had a smaller seam that closed up quicker?
It just depends. Sometimes there's small holes, sometimes there's big holes, but got to make it work.
Last night, you guys fall behind early, 6-0. What was the pulse of the team on the sideline after you guys had the quick error that put you behind the 8 ball?
Well, we just went in there and we knew we had to get a touchdown right then and there. So we went in there and we executed.
The most important games of the season coming up in 2 weeks, starting with Betsy Lane and district play. How big was last night, though, finishing on a high note, a winning note, going in 5-1 to district play with a bye week this week? How big was that?
It feels really good, actually.
Coach, for you, this is something you and we talked about throughout the year, and of course last night. That last dress rehearsal, bye week this week, chance to heal up, start thinking about what it is that you've got. But the most important 3 games on your schedule starts in 2 weeks when you head to Betsy Lane.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, obviously this first preseason, if you will. I mean, move into district play, and again, I've talked about. Everybody talks about RPI and this RPI, and you calculate it, and et cetera. But at the end of the day, is you got to take care of your district to get you 2 home games. If you do that, it doesn't matter if your record's 2-8, or 3-7. I guess you win the district, you get 2 home playoff games, and that's what it's all about. And so, we're going to make sure that our focus is on that. We're going to heal up this week and clean up some things that we made mistakes on last night. Obviously, some things last night that we moved forward on. Some things last night we got to fix, but we really got to be focused. And we start. Our district, the first 2 games are on the road, and so first trip's 2+ hours away, in a place that honestly we've never played. I've been in our district 4 years on this realignment. Played them at home twice, and the 1 year we were supposed to go there was a COVID year, so a little bit different environment for us. But I think last night our guys were able to move forward. We've been on the road a couple times now, some less than pleasant environments, and so again with veteran kids have the experience. They know what they're getting into. Now sometimes they don't prepare the right way or have the right thought processes, but once they get into the flow of things, I think that's what you saw last night. Our guys really stepped up. You talked about our running backs. One thing I'm probably most proud of, and they don't really talk about it, but I think they're blocking better for each other, and I think that's a big part of it. I think you talked about Isaac and Noah, but I think their carries were about the same last night. Again, we just call plays, but I think they're blocking better for each other, and you are right. I think they all kind of have a little different, variety of their game that gives them strength, Maybe Noah's a little bit bigger and stronger than some of the other guys, but his run's better than maybe what people give him credit for. Isaac's got incredible balance. He's shifty in the hole, and he's got good vision, makes good cuts. Jules got stuff you don't teach. He's athletic. Athleticism is off the charts. It just reeks of it. And so, he's able to move in the hole and things that, quite honestly, you don't do in practice. Jackson's been able to make some explosive plays early on last night. He had a really, really hard run there in the fourth quarter. Really proud of him for getting it out there, and he just happened to, it was like 7-on-1 tackling there. He lost control of the ball, but he'll be better from that. And so really we just run him in and out of there. Actually, Jules didn't play in the second half last night, so it was down to 3-man rotation. So it's just next man up for us, and that's a part of who we are, and hopefully propel us. I guess we got 6 down, 9 to go now.
Well, an interesting thing that I brought up last night, and I was talking with some people, and nobody even thought about this side of it, but last night was the first game this season that you guys have played with grass under your feet. Mm-hmm. You've been on turf the whole season. Was it a different aspect, and did you plan for that going into the game of using the grass practice field rather than the turf field there at the house?
Yeah, definitely different, and we spoke a little bit about that during the week, I think. And we did spend a little bit of time on the grass field this week at home. We're really fortunate to have both of those, and our Bermuda field at home is in phenomenal shape. It was really nice. We practiced down there this week one day, and just a little different. I don't know that it matters. You got to show up, and I guess the old adage, everybody takes from Hoosiers. It's 160 feet sideline to sideline and 300 goal line to goal line. So you show up and go, and it doesn't matter if you're at Fort Thomas Highlands or down on the farm or anywhere in between. That's how it goes, and so that's kind of who we are and what our approach is, and continue to be throughout the rest of the way.
I know that a fan would say they would have much rather seen the score get separated much earlier. For you as a coach, though, the adverse conditions, dealing with having to trail the tie ball game there in the third quarter, your first points that you've given up to a team all season in the third quarter, how big were those elements that you get to take into game film study this week, 2 weeks for preparation as you get yourself ready for district play?
I mean, again, that's what the fans and the chat rooms and the chat boards are for. But at the end of the day, winning football games is not easy. It's a tough thing to do. And so, you never apologize for them, and there's no, style points. Either you're victorious or you're not. And so, I think there's some exponential teaching opportunities for us from the game last night, offensively, defensively, special teams-wise as well. Just things that we can learn in our approach that maybe we did in practice, that coach was trying to say this is not going to work, but, coach doesn't know what he's talking about. And then we get on the field and wait a minute, coach tried to tell us this. And so maybe, my position coach told me this, but I didn't believe him. And, so I think those type of things you can learn from as we get back in the film room on Monday and learn from last night and move forward in the next one. But there's no doubt, moments of adversity define who you are. The adversity is always going to be present. Either you're in it, you're about to go in it, or you just came out of it. And so last night we got hit right in the face with it, and it was good to see us come through it. But if we take this thing to where we think we can take it and where we want to take it, there will be more. And we'll be able to lean on the strides we made last night to overcome.
From Racing Football, Isaac Browning and Mike Sammons. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us this morning. Great pleasure, always a pleasure as well.
All right, thanks, James.
All right, let's take a break. When we return, we've got Major League Baseball playoff push. We'll talk about that and the Border Sporting Goods rant of the week a little bit later. Another Karen sighting at a restaurant earlier in the week. That's as we continue here on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network.
In addition to the Greenup location, Stultz Pharmacy's newest location is at 437 James Hanna Drive in South Shore, but has retained the name you know and love, McDonald Pharmacy, with the same great service you'll find in the Greenup location, with free delivery service and their convenient drive-thru. Get your vaccinations and allergy shots, and of course, great prescription service at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup and McDonald Pharmacy, James Hanna Drive, South Shore.
Stultz Pharmacy.
Does your gas station or convenience store need a facelift? If so, call River City Builders at 473-4112 for your remedy. Big or small projects, River City's Builders is a company for all your needs. We have extensive experience in the petroleum industry, from routine gas dispenser and canopy maintenance to above-ground, underground tank and piping work to full-blown remodels and new builds. Call River City Builders at 473-4112 for all your petroleum needs. We'll cover your back and keep your customers pumping gas.
Now Now's the perfect time to reseed your lawn before Old Man Winter arrives, and Wagner Rental is the place to go. If you need to overseed, aerate, or power plug your lawn, Wagner Rental has the tools and equipment for jobs of all sizes. Wagner Rental and Supply also carries Echo Power equipment such as blowers and chainsaws. For landscaping tools and equipment, see the guys that care. Wagner Rental and Supply.
Your Tri-State Rental Supermarket, Wagner Rental and Supply.
New Boston, Jackson, Chillicothe, and Ashland. Online, WagnerRental.com.
Hello, I'm Michael Bowling, Senior Vice President of Kentucky Farmers Bank. When you do business with Kentucky Farmers Bank, you're making an investment in your community. Your money stays local, we never sell your loan, and in turn, we invest in local families, churches, schools, and charities. We believe in our community, and that's why we are the better bank for loans.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for loans since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Quality Marathon gasoline, great monthly specials on snacks and beverages, and fantastic service. Those are the qualities of Clark's Pump and Shops. You'll find a Clark's Pump and Shop near you in the Bluegrass State and beyond. And Rick and Brent Clark want you to know that they take pride in giving you the best prices and service, and they thank you for your patronage. Clark's Pump and Shops are a division of the John W. Clark Oil Company. Clark's Pump and Shops. Return, refresh, refuel.
The Tri-State's Cool Hits, 105.7.
Back here on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network. James Collier in studio. Big thanks to Mike Sammons and from Isaac Browning from Raceland Football joining us on the other side. Isaac is a great kid. I've got him in class. He says maybe 3 words all class long. But he's a kid, much like he is on the football field. He lets his performance do his talking. And that may be the most words I've ever had out of Isaac since, the almost 6 weeks we've been back at school. But really proud to see his progression and his performance last night. 3 touchdowns, 76 yards, and helping lead his Raceland Rams to a win over Greenup County last night down on the farm. All right, Major League Baseball playoff push is in full effect, and it's getting interesting. The thing is that, as I've mentioned in the last couple of weeks, we know pretty much who the teams are going to be. There's a couple of teams that's still shuffling for position. But the lists that were maybe 7, 8 teams long about a month ago, it's one team each way. Okay, there's one team on the outside looking to get in. 6 teams in, 7 teams trying to find a place for 6. So the question is, who is that one team that's not going to make it in? But let's look at scores from last night. The Cubbies over the Pirates, 6-5 up in Pittsburgh. It was the Marlins defeating the Nationals 5-2. Brewers dumped the Reds 5-3 up at Great American. It was the Orioles blanking the Astros 6-0. Phillies over the Braves 9-1 in Philadelphia. It was the Yankees one better than the Red Sox in the Bronx 5-4. The Rays over the Blue Jays 10-6. The Guardians double up the Rangers 6-3. It was the Rockies 4, the Padres 3. Royals over the Mariners 5-1. Angels beat the Twins 4-2. Tigers over the White Sox 5-3. Mets get a healthy win over the Athletics 9-2. That's big with the Braves losing. And the Giants over the D-backs 6-5. Cardinals dumped the Dodgers 11-0. And Albert Pujols hits his 700th career home run last night out in L.A. All right, let's take a look at our standings. So in the the American League East, the Yankees are still atop the division. They've opened up a little bit of a window there. Now 8.5 games in front of Tampa. They have clinched a playoff berth, which is no secret there. Toronto and Tampa's tied at 84 and 67. 8.5 games off. Baltimore's faded a little bit. They're 13 games out, but still in the hunt for a wild card bid. In the Central, Cleveland has an 8-game lead over the White Sox. Their magic number is 4 to clinch the American League Central in what should be probably a one-team division at best. In the American League West, Houston has already clinched the division. They lead Seattle by 16 games, and currently right now at 99 and 53, they've got a 7-game lead over the Yankees for the top seed in the American League. Over in the National League, the Mets and the Braves have punched their tickets to the postseason. The Braves 2.5 games off the top for the division, as the Mets at 96 and 56 Philadelphia's 12 games out, but they're going to make a run at the postseason route as well. Down in the Central, this one is St. Louis and Milwaukee trying to find a way to get in. St. Louis's magic number is 4. Milwaukee, 7.5 games off the pace. They're going to have to try to play themselves in on the wild card side of things. They've got a little bit of work still to do, but it's definitely not out of reach. The Dodgers, 104 wins on the year. And that's the question that we've got here. Is this the Dodgers and everybody else? They lead San Diego by 21 games. I mean, the Dodgers had this thing put on ice several weeks ago. But when you've got more wins, or I should say this way, you have fewer losses and some teams have wins. That says a lot about what your program has been able to pull off this season. All right, here's the way the wild card standings look. In the American League, Houston, Yankees, Cleveland. That's 1, 2, and 3. Tampa, Toronto, Seattle are your 3 wild card teams. Tampa and Toronto are both tied. Seattle, a game and a half behind those two. Baltimore's 3 games out. And they are probably the last team that's even in the conversation. The White Sox, 6.5 off the mark. I didn't even put them on the list this week because I just didn't see any chance of them finding a way in. Now, over to the National League, it's the Dodgers 1, the Mets 2, the Cardinals 3. Atlanta, again, 2.5 games behind the Mets, so that probably could change what you could see for the 2 seed as compared to the 4 seed, the first team in the wild card race. Philadelphia is a game behind Atlanta, or excuse me, a game ahead of San Diego. San Diego still clinging onto that 6th seed, but Milwaukee only 10 games behind, or 2 games behind, at 81 and 70. They've still got a shot of running down the Padres, and the Padres have just been horrible over the second half of the season. And again, that's not been anything uncharacteristic for them. They have been horrible in the second half of the season for many, many years. Can the Milwaukee Brewers find a way to play themselves into the postseason? They're going to have to get some help, and they need some help with San Diego struggling down the stretch. But San Diego, they're in Colorado, and it's certainly a good place to try to continue to make up some ground to keep ahead of Milwaukee, who, by the way, is playing Cincinnati this weekend up in Great American. All right, let's take our final break. When we return, it's the Borders Sporting Goods Rant of the Week. Another Karen incident. That's when we continue here on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hit Sports Network.
In addition to the Greenup location, Stultz Pharmacy's newest location is at 437 James Hanna Drive in South Shore, but has retained the name you know and love, McDonald Pharmacy, with the same great service you'll find in the Greenup location, with free delivery service and their convenient drive-thru. Get your vaccinations and allergy shots, and of course, great prescription service at Stultz Pharmacy in Greenup and McDonald Pharmacy, James Hanna Drive, South Shore.
Stultz Pharmacy.
Does your gas station or convenience store need a facelift? If so, call River City Builders at 473-4112 for your remedy. Big or small projects, River City's Builders is a company for all your needs. We have extensive experience in the petroleum industry, from routine gas dispenser and canopy maintenance to above-ground, underground tank and piping work to full-blown remodels and new builds. Call River City Builders at 473-4112 for all your petroleum needs. We'll cover your back and keep your customers pumping gas.
I'm April Perry, the CEO of Kentucky Farmers Bank. On average, our employees have been with Kentucky Farmers Bank for over 10 years, and that is important to you and us. We want you to know who you are dealing with. Whether you are financing a new home, buying a car, or remodeling your kitchen, Kentucky Farmers Bank is the better bank for all your needs.
Kentucky Farmers Bank, the better bank for all your financial needs since 1931. Located in Ashland, Summit, and Catlettsburg. KentuckyFarmersBank.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. Now's the perfect time to reseed your lawn before Old Man Winter arrives, and Wagner Rental is the place to go. If you need to overseed, aerate, or power plug your lawn, Wagner Rental has the tools and equipment for jobs of all sizes. Wagner Rental and Supply also carries Echo Power equipment such as blowers and chainsaws. For landscaping tools and equipment, see the guys that care. Wagner Rental and Supply.
Your tri-state rental supermarket, Wagner Rental and Supply.
New Boston, Jackson, Chillicothe, and Ashland. Online, WagnerRental.com.
The weather is brought to you by Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. For low prices on snacks, soft drinks, and quality Marathon gasoline, visit the Clark's Pump and Shop nearest you. Clark's Pump and Shops of the Tri-State. Return, refresh, refuel.
Cool Hits weather.
Look for cloudy skies early today with partial sunshine a little later on this afternoon. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible, high of 77. Partly cloudy this evening, giving way to cloudy skies overnight. A stray shower or thunderstorm is possible, low of 62. On Sunday, we'll see cloudy skies early with partial sunshine expected late in the day. Stray shower or thunderstorm is possible, high of 78.
Cool Hits 105.7.
Back on Let's Talk Sports on the Cool Hits Sports Network. Time for the Borders Sporting Goods rant of the week. Borders Sporting Goods US 60 in Cannonsburg. For all your hunting and fishing needs as well as Liberty Gun Safe, see the good folks at Borders Sporting Goods US 60 in Cannonsburg. Brad Taylor checking in with me this morning. I was worried about him last week. I didn't hear from him. Kind of scared me a little bit. All rods and reels on sale, and they just received a shipment of Moken kayaks. They're great, safe, and on sale. Go see those guys out at Borders Sporting Goods to get you ready. Fall fishing is about ready to pick up. These cooler temperatures, it's going to get those fish all gathered back up. It's going to be some fun time. You're going to see me disappear for a couple of times. I'm looking for Thanksgiving. I've got the entire week of Thanksgiving off. So there will be some fishing going on in that cooler water, maybe even a trip south for a couple places. But looking forward to that when we come up a little bit later on. Well, another Karen incident, and again, it's sometimes I shake my head at how many times that we see a Karen incident. And again, if you don't know what a Karen is, do yourself a favor, sit down when you have some time away from your children and in the privacy of your own home. Don't do this out in an open place.
It's a Dwayne.
No, it's not a Dwayne. I wouldn't even put you in a conversation with a Karen Dwayne. But a Karen incident my wife and I witnessed earlier this week. We'd gone out to eat. And the group that were sitting behind us, it started from the time the person ordered the drink, and it was downhill from there. The waiter was new. He admitted it. He had just gotten started, and a simple drink order turned into basically the person making fun of his lack of ability to understand what exactly was it that they wanted. It was not a common order. Hot tea, by the way, in a restaurant that hot tea is not exactly the drink of choice. And when he really struggled understanding what it was that she wanted, and I would be fathomed to understand that millennials probably don't know exactly what hot tea is, okay? That's not a drink. Now, everything they have is cold. Every cold, coffee and these frappuccinos, mochiatas, all this other junk they've got, but hot tea is probably not high on that list. So he was trying to get her to explain exactly what it was that she was wanting, and finally she said, "Just bring me some water. That you don't know what you're talking about anyway. Just bring me water." And I was like, "Oh my goodness, here we go." So then the ordering of the food became a task. Then the food was not the way that they wanted it, and it was just a hour-long session of this person acting a fool. Because for some reason they feel entitled, or they feel that their socioeconomical status puts them higher than this young person that was probably working in one of their first jobs. Let's just call a spade a spade. Were they very good? No, they were not. But you know what? When you started your first job, I guarantee you didn't walk in there as a champ. We all make mistakes. We make mistakes every day in life. I make them every day. If you don't believe me, ask my wife. She tells me what a screw-up I am all the time. We tell Dwayne about every 5 minutes, okay? We're all mess-ups. It's just how we deal with our mess-ups and how we learn from them as we push forward. But the fact of there's people in society, Karens, that believe they are the most proper thing that God has ever created. No one is ever going to be better than them. Because they are high and mighty on the hog, because they've got money, well, you should bow to them. Well, I got news for you, Karens. Shut up. We're tired of hearing your blabbering mouths. You're filling the world full of hot air that nobody needs to hear. The world is hot enough as it is. If you've never heard of global warming, it's because of the Karens, for God's sake. That's where global warming's coming from. It's not because of the ozone layer being burnt away. It's because we've got so much hot air in society, all because of Karens that can't get their hot tea, for God's sake. That's the Borders Sporting Goods rant of the week. A big thanks to Bill Bender from the Sporting News, Mike Sammons, and Isaac Browning from Raceland Football this morning for joining me here in studio and on the phones. Next week, I'm going to be no video next week. I'm going to be from parts unknown. I'm escaping next week. You won't even see me, Dwayne. I told you, I saw you too much this week. I got to get some time away. So only on radio next week, as my wife and I, we're going to have a little bit of a getaway fall break for both of us. So don't roll your eyes at me. You don't need a break. You have a break every single day. Hey, don't forget, Cats are in action tonight, 7 o'clock kickoff. Our countdown to kickoff coverage begins at 5 o'clock right here on the Cool Hits Sports Network. KCU's in action today over in Grayson. They've got Bluefield in for homecoming. 3:30 kickoff. Our coverage begins at 3:15. For the guest of Bill Bender, Isaac Browning, and Mike Sammons, my producer, Dwayne Elliott, and all the great folks here at the Cool Hits Sports Network, I'm James Carr. Thanks for tuning in to another edition here of Let's Talk Sports.
You've been listening to Let's Talk Sports on Cool Hits 105.7.